Hello students, welcome back to online classes. In last video we discussed about the properties of alkali metals. So physical properties as well as the chemical properties. In chemical properties we discussed about the reactivity towards air, reactivity towards water with liquid ammonia, reducing nature of alkali metals as well as the reaction with halides. So in this video we will discuss about the general characteristics of alkali metal compounds. So the general characteristics of alkali metal compounds. Alkali metal compounds. So we know that these alkali metals will form oxides, halides as well as some other salts of oxo acids. So in that we should discuss about the general characteristics regarding to the oxides or else hydroxides. That we should discuss about oxides and dihydroxides. So the alkali metals, whenever they should undergo combustion in air or oxygen, they should form their corresponding oxides, and if excess of oxygen is available then they should form peroxide as well as the superoxide. So in last video I told that the oxide is nothing but when metal is combines with the one oxygen atom, it forms oxides. When one metal is combines with one oxygen atom, it forms oxide. When two metals are combines with the two oxygen atoms, it forms peroxide. When two metal atoms combines with two oxygen atoms, it forms peroxide. So if one metal is combines with the two oxygen atom, it forms superoxide. So usually we are naming oxides as means when metals will combines with the oxygen atom, it forms oxides, peroxide as well as the superoxide, and sometimes we are getting in the form of oxides in the form of M2O also. Some metals will form M2O, M3O, etc. So it is depends upon the valence nature of element. So it is different for different metal ions. So you can remember only the oxides will nothing but only one oxygen atom. Peroxide contains two oxygen atoms with two metal ions. Superoxides contain one metal with two oxygen atom. So these oxides and hydroxides are formed when the alkali metals are exposed to air or they should undergo combustion in air. They will form their corresponding oxide. The lithium form the lithium monoxide whenever it is exposed to air. So it forms lithium oxide, and sometimes it is also formed the lithium peroxide also. So the lithium forms on combustion with air, on combustion in air or oxygen, the lithium forms lithium oxide. In rare condition it forms lithium peroxide. Lithium peroxide, that is Li2O2. So the lithium does not form lithium superoxide. Okay, lithium forms only oxide as well as the lithium peroxide, but the sodium forms sodium will forms both peroxide as well as the superoxide. So sodium on combustion in air, it will forms peroxide as well as a superoxide. It forms peroxide and superoxide. So that is nothing but Na2O2 and NaO2. So superoxide is NaO2 and peroxide is Na2O2. And other alkali metals like rubidium, cesium, they should form the superoxides, peroxide, oxides also. So the other rubidium and cesium will form corresponding peroxides and superoxide. Potassium also. So this will form the corresponding oxides and peroxides. So we can prepare these oxides, superoxide as well as peroxide in the suitable conditions, like I will write here. We can prepare the oxides of alkali metals, peroxides and superoxides with suitable conditions on combustion in excess of air, also excess of oxygen. So we will get the different oxides, peroxides, superoxides on exposure to air. And here these oxides and hydroxide, the stability of hydroxides and peroxides, it depends upon the size of a metal ion. The stability of these superoxides will increases with increase in the size of a metal ion. So that means where the larger the cation, it will stabilizes the, or it will. So the stability of peroxide and superoxide depends upon the size of a metal ion here. So where the metal ion size increases, it has capacity to stabilize the anion. So that is why the stability of oxide and peroxide, superoxide will depends upon the size of a metal ion. If the larger the cation, it will stabilizes the larger anion. If smaller the cation, it will stabilizes the smaller anion. So that's why the stability of peroxide and superoxide depends upon the, or increases with increase in size of a metal ion. The stability of peroxides and superoxides increases with increasing size of the metal ion. That means larger the cation, it will stabilizes the larger anion. So directly proportional here, larger anion. If smaller the cation, it will stabilizes a smaller anion. So that is why superoxide's stability will increases with increasing size of the metal ion, and these oxides, peroxide and superoxide, they will undergo hydrolysis with the water. So they will form hydrolyzed products whenever they are dissolved in the water. So for example, if you write the equation, so firstly the oxides, when they dissolve in water or undergo hydrolysis in water, they should form the corresponding liberation of metal ions with the elimination of a hydroxide. So the oxides, when they undergo hydrolysis with water, they should eliminate hydroxide and isolated metal ion, and if the peroxides are undergo hydrolysis, they should decompose and form metal ions and hydroxide with the liberation of water molecule. They will liberate they will liberate hydrogen peroxide here. So oxide will liberate only metal ion and hydroxide. The peroxides will form metal peroxides. When they undergo hydrolysis, they will liberate their corresponding metal ions, hydroxides and 1 mole of hydrogen peroxide. If superoxides undergo hydrolysis with water, they will form with the liberation of oxygen. They will give peroxides when they undergo superoxides when they undergo hydrolysis, they will form their corresponding metal ions, hydroxides and the peroxide liberation with oxygen liberation. So in this way they will show hydrolyzing property. So when oxides undergo hydrolysis, we will get corresponding liberation of ions. When the peroxides undergo hydrolysis, they will form their corresponding liberation of ions, hydroxide ions as well as 1 mole of hydrogen peroxide. But when superoxides should undergo hydrolysis, they will give metal ions, hydroxides, peroxide with the liberation of amount of oxygen gas. So in this way we will get hydrolytic nature, behavior of oxide and peroxide, superoxides. So this hydroxide as well as oxides, they are easily soluble in water and they will liberate a much amount of heat in the calculated manner. So that is the important characteristic of these oxides of alkali compounds. So when they undergo soluble in water, they should liberate the much amount of heat, and these hydroxides we will obtain by the reaction of oxides with water, and these are form white crystalline solids. So all the hydroxides of alkali compounds are formed by, so we will prepare hydroxides of alkali by reacting oxides with water. So then we will get the corresponding hydroxides. So compounds are formed by reacting with water and oxides and water, and these hydroxides, the alkali metal hydroxides, are strongest bases among the other compounds, and those are easily soluble in water, and they will evaluate or they will liberate much amount of heat. So this is the important characteristic of alkali compounds. These hydroxides will liberate much amount of heat, and those are having capacity to dissolve in water very easily, or freely they will dissolve in the water, and due to this nature they will behave as a stronger basis compared to others. So these hydroxides are strong bases, and freely dissolves in water, with evolution of or elimination of much heat. So that's why these alkali hydroxides, when they react with water, these alkali oxides, when they react with water, they form the corresponding hydroxide, and those are white in color, means colorless or white in color, and form crystalline solids, or they should attain the crystalline structure, and these are strong bases and has capacity to dissolve very easily in water with the evolution of much amount of heat. And if we see the color of oxides and peroxides, usually they are colorless in nature, and the superoxides are having yellow or orange colored crystalline compounds. The oxides and peroxides are colorless in nature, but superoxides are attaining the crystalline form. As a result, we will get the yellow or orange color crystals. So we can easily differentiate physically by seeing the compounds only. So by observing color of the compound, we can say it is a superoxide because it has yellow or orange color. As a result, it is very easy to identify the superoxides as well as peroxide in a physical manner. So we are not able to judge only by simply seeing the color of a compound. So we have to go for further technique for identification of the compound. So that is why in physical manner, so simple manner we can judge by the help of a color. So that's why the superoxides have orange or yellow color. So those are crystalline in nature. Okay, and some superoxides are paramagnetic in nature because in superoxide oxygen is present in O2 minus. So that's why it contains 2 unpaired electrons in the molecular energy level diagram. So those 2 unpaired electrons are responsible for the paramagnetic movement of superoxides. If the molecule contains the unpaired electron, that is said to be paramagnetic. If it is having the paired electron, then it should contribute the diamagnetic moment. But in case of superoxide, the oxide contains unpaired electrons, so that is why the superoxides are behaving as a paramagnetic molecules. Some superoxides have paramagnetic property. So these are the properties of general characteristics of oxides. So oxide and hydroxides are formed when we are exposed to the alkali metals to air, or when they undergo combustion in air, they should form their corresponding oxides, peroxides as well as the superoxides, and these are undergo hydrolysis in water and liberate their corresponding ions, and the sodium peroxide is used as a good oxidizing agent in inorganic chemistry or in the inorganic chemical compound. The sodium peroxide, so that is Na2O2, is used as a oxidizing agent in inorganic compounds. And the oxides and peroxides are white in color and they should attain the crystalline structure. The superoxides are having the yellow or orange color and they are also attaining the crystalline structure, and we can prepare the hydroxides of alkali metal halides when they are react with the water. They should form their corresponding metal hydroxides and they are white in color and crystalline form, and these are easily soluble in water or they should freely soluble in water, and they should liberate the larger amount of heat, and this will act as a strong basis. All the alkali metal hydroxides are act as a strong basis compared to others. So this is about the general characteristics of oxide. So next is the general characteristics of halides. So we can prepare the alkali metal halides by treating the alkali metals with hydrogen halides. Next is the general characteristics of halides. So halides are nothing but fluoride groups, means halogen groups, fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. So these are considered as halides when they are exist in anionic form. So fluorine is the atomic form. If it is accept one electron from other species, it will become the fluoride, means in anionic nature of halogens are said to be halides. So bromine, bromide, chlorine, chloride, so iodine, iodide. So in this way, when they have anionic character, then those are said to be halides. So we can prepare the alkali metal halides by treating the metal with hydrogen halide in a suitable condition. We are able to get the formation of the alkali metal. So we can prepare the alkali metal halides by treating oxides, hydroxides and carbonates with respective hydrogen halides. We will obtain the corresponding metal halides here. So if we are treating metal oxides with hydrogen halides, we will get the formation of metal halides with the liberation of water, and if we treat the metal hydroxides with hydrogen halides, again we are going to get the formation of metal halides. And the third method is by treating the metal carbonates, means alkali carbonates with 2 moles of hydrogen halides, we are going to get the formation of metal halides with the liberation of carbon dioxide as well as the water. So here M may be lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium, and X are halogens, fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. So in this way we will get metal halides by reacting oxides, carbonates as well as hydroxides with corresponding hydrogen halides. So in case of alkali metal halides, the fluorine should has a negative enthalpy of formation. So that is delta HF minus. The enthalpy of formation of fluoride is less negative, but the chloride, bromides and iodides should have the more negative enthalpy of formation. So down the group it should be more negative. So the fluoride should has less negative enthalpy of formation, and chloride, bromide and iodide should has more negative enthalpy of formation. And these metal halides are crystalline in structure and colorless in structure. So they should attain the crystalline structure and they are having high boiling point. These metal halides will have solid crystalline structure and whenever the molecule exists in crystalline form, it is obviously shows high melting point, because the crystalline structure is nothing but it has the regular or a systematic arrangement of counter ions, means anions and cations. As a result of crystalline structure, the force of attraction which is present in between the molecule should be high. So that is why to break that intermolecular forces, it needs high amount of energy. So that is why these molecules are showing high melting point and boiling point. High boiling point also. But the all alkali metal halides are soluble in water except the lithium fluoride and cesium fluoride. So other than that of lithium fluoride and cesium iodide, all are soluble in water. The lithium fluoride does not soluble in water because the lithium fluoride, it has the high lattice enthalpy, and cesium iodide should has minimum hydration enthalpy. So lithium fluoride has more lattice enthalpy. So lattice enthalpy is nothing but the amount of energy released during the 1 mole of ion combines to make a compound. So whenever ion gets to make compound, it liberates some amount of energy. So that is said to be the lattice enthalpy. So that enthalpy is high for lithium fluoride. So that is why it is not easily soluble in the water, since the solubility is lithium fluoride and cesium iodide is exceptional compared to other alkali metal halides. So all alkali halides are soluble in water, but or except lithium fluoride and cesium iodide, because the lithium fluoride has more lattice enthalpy and the cesium iodide has minimum hydration enthalpy. So hydration enthalpy is nothing but amount of energy released during the hydration of 1 mole of a molecule. So cesium has maximum size or it has larger size, so that is why it gets minimum hydration enthalpy. So that is why it is not soluble in the water. So remember, lithium fluoride as well as cesium iodide does not dissolve in water, but lithium fluorides or lithium halides, those are soluble in ethanol and alcohol, some organic solvents also. The lithium halides are soluble in organic solvents like ethanol. So those are soluble in organic solvents like ethanol acetone as well as ethyl acetate, etc. And lithium chloride, it is also soluble in pyridine. So in this way the metal halides are showing different characteristics. So we can prepare these metal halides by treating oxides, hydroxide and carbonates in the hydrogen halides. We will get the formation of metal halides, and the fluoride should have the less negative hydration enthalpy of formation, and the chloride, bromide and iodides are having more negative enthalpy of formation, and metal halides are present in solid crystalline structure, and those are exhibit high melting point and high boiling point, means from chlorine to iodide it should be decreases. Fluorine is showing the high melting point compared to chlorine, chlorine is showing high melting point compared to bromine, bromine is then iodine. So in this way melting point should be increases. Fluorides should having high melting point, then chlorides, then bromides, then iodides. So next, these are soluble in water except lithium and cesium iodide, because the lithium fluoride has high lattice enthalpy and cesium has the minimum hydration enthalpy. So this is about the metal halides. So the third general characteristic property of alkali metal ions is the salts of oxo acids. So the oxo acids are nothing but the acidic proton which is present on the hydroxyl group and with oxygen atom. So the salts of oxo acids are nothing but the oxo acids are the substances in which the acidic proton is present on a hydroxyl group, and to the same hydroxyl oxygen atom is also attached. So that is said to be oxo acid. So for example, in case of hydrogen carbonate, so see here, if we write this as OH twice OC or else CO. So see here, so this is the hydroxyl group, and to this hydroxyl, for hydroxyl we are going to write OH. So to this hydroxyl group there is a attachment of one acidic proton. So acidic proton means it has capacity to donate proton here. So in this way proton is also attached to the hydroxyl group and oxygen atom is also attached to the that species only. So that is why this kind of compounds are said to be the oxo acids. So for example, in case of the hydrogen carbonate as well as the sulfuric acids, if we write the definition of oxo acids, these are the compounds in which the acidic proton is present on a hydroxyl group with an oxygen atom or else a oxo group. The acidic proton is present on a hydroxyl group with oxo or oxygen atom, with oxo group are said to be oxo acids. So when they dissolve, then we will get the salts of oxo acids. So for example, hydrogen carbonates or hydrocarbonates, we can write it them as OH twice the sulfuric acid H2SO4. So here also the hydroxyl group contains both acidic proton as well as the oxo group. So we can write it as OH twice SO2. So in this way we can write the oxo acids, and these alkali oxo acids are thermally stable in nature and stable to heat also. And but the lithium oxoacids does not thermally stable, means because of its smaller size and it has more polarization capacity. As a result, it will polarizes the carbonates as well as it form the corresponding lithium oxide. So lithium carbonates are also hydrogen carbonate does not exist, because the lithium carbonates, they should polarizes the carbonate ion and they will form the corresponding lithium oxide with the elimination of a carbon oxide. So that is why except lithium, all alkali metals will form oxoacids and those are thermally stable in nature. These are thermally stable and stable to heat also. But lithium carbonates does not stable to heat, because lithium is smaller in size, polarizes the carbonate ion, leading to the formation of a stable lithium oxide. Lithium carbonates does not stable to heat, because the lithium polarizes the carbonate ion. As a consequence, we will get the formation of lithium oxide. So the lithium oxide is formed, and lithium hydrogen carbonate does not exist, means it will not form the lithium hydrogen carbonates in a solid form. Okay, so this is about the salts of oxoacids. And these oxoacids of alkali metals are soluble in water and they are thermally stable in nature. They are soluble in water and thermally stable. Their carbonates and hydrogen carbonates are more stable to heat except lithium. So this is about the salts of oxoacids. So these are the general characteristics of a alkali metal compound. So first one is with oxides are hydroxide, and second one is halides, third one is the salts of oxoacids. So all are showing different properties. So you can remember by making chart. So in one chart you can write about the properties of oxides and peroxides. In one chart you can remember about halides, and in third chart you can remember about salts of oxoacids. In this way you can write and practice. So otherwise you will not able to find out the differences. Okay. And next is the anomalous properties of lithium. The anomalous means it is showing somewhat different properties compared to other alkali metals of the group. So those are said to be anomalous properties. So lithium is showing the anomalous property. So in all previous discussion we can see the lithium showing some exceptional behavior compared to others. The first foremost anomalous behavior of lithium is it has smaller size and it is showing the maximum polarization capacity or a polarizing capability. So as a result it will not forms carbonates as well as it is not soluble in the water due to having high lattice enthalpy, and it is also showing some similar properties to that of the diagonal element, that is magnesium. So that is said to be the diagonal relationship of a lithium and magnesium. And the lithium fluoride, So all alkali metal halides are soluble in water, but the lithium fluoride is not soluble in water because it has more enthalpy of lattice, and the lithium halides are stronger in nature, means they are showing covalent character, and these are harder in nature. So in this way we can see many number of exceptional behavior of lithium. So that is why those are said to be anomalous properties of lithium. In one by one we can discuss about the property of lithium. The first property is the lithium has smaller size and has more polarizing capability or a capacity. So polarizing capability is nothing but it has capacity to distort the electron cloud over a anion. So that is said to be the polarization capacity or a capability. So and it is showing the diagonal relationship with the diagonal element magnesium. So the lithium showing the diagonal relationship with the magnesium. So lithium has more polarizing power. As a result, the salts of lithium are exist in covalent character. Due to high polarizing power, the lithium forms covalent compounds, and these are soluble in organic solvents rather than that of water. The lithium compounds are soluble in organic solvents because those are exist in covalent nature, and lithium showing different characteristics than the other alkali metals because the lithium is harder in nature, means it is tough one or a stronger one, harder in nature and has high melting point and boiling point, compared to other alkali metals. It is showing different characters from other alkali metals like sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. So lithium is showing different properties. So that is why we are list outing the anomalous properties of lithium. Okay, the lithium is harder in nature and it shows high melting point and high boiling point, and the lithium is next property. The lithium is least reactive compared to other alkali metals. Lithium is least reactive, but it is used as a good reducing agent. So lithium is forms the reducing ability with other elements, means it has capacity to reduces other elements. So that is why it is behaving as a good reducing agent. The lithium has good reducing ability. Good reducing ability, and it is least reactive, but it is showing strongest reducing nature compared to other alkali metals. And when the lithium exposes to air, it forms lithium oxide. When it is undergo combustion with nitrogen, it forms lithium nitrate. On combustion with air, it forms lithium oxide, and with nitrogen it forms lithium nitrate. Okay, N. So these are the means on combustion with air it gives oxides as well as the nitrates unlike other alkali metals. And lithium chloride is crystallizes as a lithium hydrates, but other alkali metals does not showing this property. The lithium chloride is showing the lithium chloride is diliquescent and crystallizes as a hydrate, but other alkali metal chlorides does not form this kind of nature. And the lithium hydrogen carbonate is not obtained in the solid form because it has mole polarizing power, and other alkali metals we are getting in the solid form. And the lithium does not show the reaction with ethane, and there is no formation of ethanides takes place compared to other alkali metals. And the lithium is showing the reaction with lithium oxide, whereas alkali metal nitrides decompose to give the corresponding nitrate. So see here, if you see the decomposition of sodium nitrate, it will give nitrates as well as the oxygen, but the lithium nitrates will give the formation of lithium oxide. So this is the differential behavior compared to other alkali metals. And lithium fluoride and lithium oxides are less soluble in water. So commonly those are less soluble in water among all alkali metal ions. So these are the few anomalous properties of lithium. First one, it has smaller size, high polarizing power, and secondly, because of its polarizing power, these compounds are covalent in nature and has capacity to soluble in organic solvents. And the lithium showing the diagonal relationship with magnesium, and the lithium is harder in nature and has high melting point and boiling point among the alkali metal ions. And these lithium chloride, they should undergo hydrated formation in a crystallization structure, and other alkali metals are not undergoing the hydration, and lithium halides and oxides are less soluble in water, and the lithium hydrogen carbonate is not exist in the solid form, and the lithium does not show reaction with the ethene and does not involve in the formation of a ethanide ion. So these are the anomalous properties of lithium. So next is the similarities between the lithium and magnesium. So the properties of lithium and magnesium are same in nature, so that is why it is said to be the diagonal relationship. And if you see the atomic radii of lithium, it is about 152 picometer. Atomic radii of lithium is 152 picometer, whereas the magnesium has 160 picometer, somewhat near. So and ionic radii, in ionic nature the radius distance is lithium is showing 76 picometer, and magnesium, it is divalent, so that is why magnesium plus 2, it is showing 72 picometer. Atomic radii and ionic radii, those are nearer to each other, and all the magnesium and lithium showing some similar properties, like with whenever the lithium and magnesium, they slowly react with water and form the oxides and hydroxides. So those hydroxides are less soluble in nature, and whenever the lithium and magnesium are undergoing combustion in air, they should form their oxides. On nitrogen, they should form the nitrites. So the lithium and magnesium are react slowly. The lithium and magnesium are react slowly with water, but other alkali metals are showing vigorous reaction with water. So that is why it is different. Lithium magnesiums are reacting very slowly, but other alkalis are showing vigorous reaction, and they will not undergo combustion with nitrogen, but this will showing combustion process in nitrogen. The lithium magnesium are react slowly with water and oxides, hydroxides. Oxides and hydroxides are less soluble, but other alkali metals are showing more solubility, as well as they are undergo freely hydrolysis with water. Oxides and hydroxides are less soluble. Okay, and they should show decomposition on heating. Decomposition on heating. And when they undergo combustion in air, they should form the lithium oxides, and when they undergo combustion with nitrogen, they should form the corresponding nitrates. If lithium is there, then we will get the lithium nitrate. If it is magnesium, then magnesium nitrate will be formed on direct combustion with nitrogen. Direct combustion with nitrogen. So with oxygen they should form oxides, with nitrogen they should form nitrates, and these oxides of lithium and magnesium does not combine with the excess amount of oxygen, and they will not give superoxides, but other alkali metals are giving superoxide formation with excess, by reacting with excess oxygen, but the lithium oxides and the magnesium oxide, they will not react with excess oxygen and do not form superoxides and do not form superoxide, but other alkali metals are showing the superoxiding property, means they are formed superoxide upon excess heating. And the lithium chloride and magnesium chlorides are soluble in ethanol, but the lithium fluorides are not soluble in water. The lithium chloride and magnesium chlorides are soluble in ethanol. So these are showing solubility in organic solvents because of their covalent nature. Okay, and these are also undergo hydrate formations. Both lithium chloride and magnesium chlorides are undergoing the hydrating natures. In turn, they are giving the hydrate formations like the lithium chloride 2H2O and the magnesium chloride 8H2O. So lithium chloride and magnesium chloride diliquescent crystallizes forms hydrated formation of lithium chloride hydrates and the magnesium chloride hydrates. So the last is the carbonates of lithium and magnesium decomposes easily on heating to form oxides and carbon dioxide, but a solid hydrogen carbonates not forms in the both lithium as well as the magnesium, but the lithium carbonates and the magnesium carbonates, they should undergo decomposition, but hydrogen carbonates are not obtained in solid form. So these are the similarities in between lithium and magnesium. The firstly, they should have similar atomic and ionic radii, and both are harder in nature, and lithium and magnesium are react slowly with water, and those hydroxides are much soluble in nature. So these hydroxides undergo decomposition on heating, and on combustion with nitrogen they should form the lithium nitrates as well as the magnesium nitrates, and the lithium oxides and magnesium oxides, they will not react with the excess of oxygen and they will not form super oxides. And final, the lithium chloride and magnesium chloride diliquescent crystallizes form the hydrated formation like lithium chloride hydrates and magnesium chloride hydrates, and these are soluble in ethanol, and these lithium oxides and magnesium oxides undergo decomposition. They form the corresponding lithium oxides as well as magnesium oxides with the liberation of carbonates, and the hydrogen carbonates are not exist in the solid form in both lithium and magnesium. So these are the similarities in between lithium and magnesium, or else the key points for the diagonal relationship shown by lithium and magnesium. So next is the uses of alkali metals. So alkali metals has more number of benefits, and in that firstly the lithium forms alloys with corresponding metal alloys. So with lead it forms white metal, it is used in the motor engines. So when lithium makes alloy with the lead, we are going to get the formation of a white metal, and it is used for the parts of motor engine. And with aluminum it's form alloy, and those parts are used in the aircraft machines. And with magnesium it is used in the formation of armor plates, and these are also lithium alloys are also used in the thermonuclear reactor. And the sodium metal is used as a coolant. So it is used as a coolant in the nuclear reactor. So it will moderate the temperature. So that is why the sodium is used as a coolant in the thermonuclear reactions. And the sodium and potassium electrodes are used in the formation of electrodes, as well as those are also used in the electrochemical cells. The potassium chloride is used as a fertilizer, and it is also exist in hydroxide form, means the potassium hydroxide, it is used in the manufacture of a soft soap, and it is also act as the excellent adsorbent over the carbon dioxide. And the potassium plays vital role, the potassium as well as sodium, they are also gets their own importance in the biological system also. So that is why the alkali metals are having more number of uses, and those are also plays vital role in the biological system. So these are the different uses shown by the different alkali metals. So all alkali metals are showing the uses in industrial purpose as well as the biological purpose also. Sometimes the alkali metals are also used in the free petrol manufacturing system, and liquid metal is used in the thermonuclear reactor system. So that is why the all alkali metals are shown different benefits in different industrial manner. So by this I am going to conclude this video. In next video we discuss about the group 2 elements, that is alkaline earth metals. Thank you.